Okay, so originally I had planned to just wrap the building the way that it is. There was nothing else that was really necessary to do. And then I kind of changed my mind, and even though the slab is on a rock bed and there's not really any worry of water coming up and getting anywhere near the sills, I decided that I'm going to take some joint filler and go around the entire base of the whole building and just joint fill between and underneath the Dens glass and the slab. I decided to go with this stuff right here. I've watched it online and it seems to be the stuff to go with. It is Argard joint and seam filler. I'm not sponsored by these guys or anything like that. It's just what was recommended online. I went out and bought one of these Albion sausage guns. Comes with all these attachments for 50 bucks off Amazon, and we're going to get this assembled. Be using a paintbrush as well, just to paint on, well, not paint, but just to brush this stuff onto the concrete slab as well as the outside of the lower part of the Dens glass. We'll just cut it off right about here, and that looks pretty good. Maybe we'll just come back a little bit further. I think that's the angle I'm going to go with right there. Simply just pull this out like that, push on your release. Take your sausage, just like this, slide it down inside your gun. Pull on the trigger until you get this up to just cresting the top. Put a small indentation in the top like that, just so that you can see it start to come out. Put that piece on, and we'll put our lid on, or our cap, and that's it. You are ready to go. Start pulling the trigger, and she's going to start coming out there. So we'll move over to the wall. Just going to take my brush, just kind of run it along the bottom. Okay, so I've completed the seal all the way along the base of the building. I came up about 2 or 3 inches along the bottom of the Dens glass, and then on the underside of the concrete I got it about 2 inches there, 1 inch to 2 inches, I guess. So it is completely sealed underneath. Next step will be to wrap the building. We'll have to let this dry. I'm going to let it dry for a complete day. Alright, so with the caulking all cured all the way around the bottom of the shop now, going to be moving on to installing the Tyvek house wrap. This is pretty simple. You just lay it on your house like wrapping paper, or on your shop, or whatever it is that you're putting it on, and you just nail it on. I'm going to be using cap nails for this. I've got these cap nails that I'm going to be using. Alright, well, unfortunately my gimbal battery died. I had to charge it up, so I wasn't able to film this part, but here's the wrap. Basically, I just stood the whole roll up against the wall, put it on that block of wood, tacked it in up at the top, and then I just rolled the whole thing all the way down this side of the building. I had it on a block of wood down here, just tacked in right there, and continued to roll it all the way down to this corner. Exactly the same thing. Put the roll up on top of there, tacked it in, and then all the way along this side the same thing. All right, with all of the wrap nailed in, come around to the only seam that I currently have over here. I've applied tie-back tape all the way to this single seam, sealed it up well. Tomorrow I'll put the rest of the wrap up top, and then the same thing over here. All right, so it's raining. Normally, from what I've read, installing windows in the rain is not the right thing to do. But because I've got such a big overhang here on the roof and the rain is falling straight down, it's not getting anything on the lumber wrap at all. So going to be fine to put the windows in today. I got my windows yesterday. I got my 4x4 and my 2x4. These were custom order. Took 12 weeks to get them here. With COVID going on right now, it's pretty tough to get materials. Wood's gone through the roof, but I managed to get my windows yesterday. So, all right, so I've gone ahead and installed the first window, and we'll now proceed on to the second window, which is a matching window, just over a couple of feet. So now I've seen these windows done a few different ways, and the way that I've done that one over there, same way I'm going to do this one. I like the way that it's done. I'm pretty sure it's done right, but I'm sure somebody's going to disagree with where I cut my paper off here. So anyway, we're just going to cut a hole right here, and I'm just going to trim this paper all the way around, flush with the window, and then I'm going to wind up trimming it back after, and I'll tell you why I'm going to do that here in a minute. Okay, so I've trimmed it off flush all the way around. Now right up here we're going to come on a 45-degree angle, and we're going to go up about 6.5 inches. This will allow me for my top flashing to go underneath this. Just like that, and I'll fold it up, and I'll be able to get my flashing tape all the way along in here. And then this will fold over top after. Now on the sides, what I'm going to do different here, I'm going to cut this over about 1.5 inches to 2 inches. On the bottom, go about 2 inches. Now the reason I didn't take the paper and wrap it all the way around is because you can get air in behind your paper, and then it can get inside your house. So by trimming this back, when I put my butyl flashing on here, it will actually bond to the sheathing that I put on, and then wrap around and bond to the wood and complete a seal between the paper, the sheathing, and the wood on the outside. So no air or anything that ever should get behind the paper will ever get inside the shop. So this is the membrane that I'm going to be using. Basically just roll it out. It's called Resisto. There's lots of different brands of this stuff. This is not a flexible stuff, so when we do the corners, I'll have to show you how to do the bow tie in the corners so that you don't have to worry about any leaks. Basically, we're going to be doing the sill, the bottom of the sill here. So we want to go about 6 inches past the window on both sides, come up in here. You got your piece, just kind of lay it in there, get a rough idea where it's going to go. Bring it out so that it's going to overlap the other side by at least half. I'm just going to put a little pencil mark on it here, right on the wood, and then right on there. So once I peel this protective layer away from the sticky, I can get it right centered again. Peel it right off. Try not to let this contact anything, as it is extremely sticky. I'm going to find that pencil mark that I put on there and try and make sure that this is perfectly square inside the window. Looks pretty good. Got about an inch there. Just come down in my corner, get it nice and tight in there. Same thing over on this side. Get it nice and tight. All right, now I'm going to take my knife and I'm just going to cut right here with the part that's overlapping outside, straight out on both sides. Now we will go outside and you simply take your sides, pull them tight, fold them around. Like that. And take the bottom, do the same thing. We'll start inside, getting that corner nice and tight. This is called a laminate to J roller. Now just roll out the top of your windowsill with it. We've got the sill sealed. Now we're going to cut a couple of bow ties to go in these areas right here. Bow ties are pretty simple. Set it out about 3 inches. Right there. I'm going to cut 2 of these, one for each corner. Then simply fold it over like that, and at the fold we're going to cut the corner off so that we've got about 3/4 of an inch left up in the middle. Maybe 5/8 of an inch. So now all you do is get this protective piece off, take it into your corner like that, and just take this and pull it around the side. Just like that. Roll it in. Now once the window's in, the window will cover up this area right here, and then we will be putting another wide strip of this 6-inch flashing that will come right down over top, which will cover that entire area right there. All right, now we're going to dry fit the window, make sure that everything is lined up properly. I'm going to draw a line right here at the center, in the center of the window, so that I can get this way positioning. And then I've got a shim already that I'm going to place right here that's about 3/16 thick. That is the perfect shim to center the window up and down. So this is my shim material right here. It's actually probably more like about 1/8 or somewhere between, and I just lay that right there, and then when I put the window in, it sits right on top of that. good. Fits in. All right, now we're just going to put a 3/8 bead of silicone all the way around the window except for the bottom. You do the top and the sides, you leave the bottom open so that if there's ever any water, it has somewhere to escape. All right, now something I did forget to do was just measure over to find my center. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have a look at the gap on the inside. Got about a 3/16 gap over there. Could probably go that way just a bit. Now just peel off your plastic backing a little ways. Give yourself about 6 inches. Lift up your upper flap that you cut. Get this lined up so that it goes right over top of your window flange. Nice and straight. And layer that on. Now you just reach in behind and keep pulling the backing off and running your hand down to keep it nice and tight. All right, guys, so that is how I installed my windows. Hopefully I've done everything properly. I'm pretty sure I did. Everything's overlapping right from the bottom to the top. Everything overlaps. You've got the piece in the windowsill, you got the pieces on the outside, then you got the piece at the top, and then you've got the Tyvek wrap that comes back over top of that piece, as well as the tape that I taped off the sides. Both of these windows are done exactly the same. So there's my spacer. I should be able to get this out of there, no problem. There we go, spacer came right out. The gaps that are around here will be filled in with drywall, basically, is what fills in that area and covers that all up so that you can't see it all the way around. First we have to insulate, then put vapor barrier on, and then there's all kinds of things that you do with vapor barrier and taping things off. Alright guys, doors are mounted. This is probably my least favorite thing to do. I'm not very good at mounting doors at all. Getting them squared up and shimming them so that everything is perfect. I had to add a piece to the top of each one of these barn doors. There's a 2x2 on the top of each, and then down on the bottom there's a 2x2 as well. These are actually slider doors, 36 by 84 slider doors that I'm turning into hinge doors. Okay, with the doors all fully removed from the frame, this is the first coat of stain that I used on the door. This is made by Olympic, and I think it's 701 natural red cedar, I think is what it is. So this is kind of like the base that we started with to try and achieve a red cedar look on pine. And then we went over top with this one, which is another Olympic stain, semi-transparent. Trying to remember what color this was. Let's have a look here. American chestnut, semi-transparent. And then they tinted it for us through experimentation to get the color that we wanted. And then with the American chestnut over top of the 701 red cedar semi-transparent, we achieved this color right here, which is about as close as we can come to the color of the cedar that we've got on our house right now. All right, well, it's inspection day, and since I was not able to sleep, I figured I might as well come out here and do some work and maybe be here when the inspector gets here in case he's got any questions. So one of the things that I have to do on these doors, because it comes with screws and these hinges are meant for gates, not really meant for doors. So, you know, you could easily take those 2 screws out of the hinges, or 3 screws, pardon me, out of the hinges, and just completely remove the door and walk right into the shop, which I don't want. I bought some carriage bolts. I was only able to get 3/8. I would have preferred some smaller ones, maybe 1/4 inch, but I couldn't find black ones anywhere. And then it just would have meant, you know, having to paint them. And although that's not a big deal, I figured I would just go heavy duty and make it even more rustic looking for my wife. So I've got 3/8 bolts, and what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to cut this off after, and then I'll just paint the very end of it black. I'm going to leave myself probably about 1/2 inch when I cut them off.
What's the plan for the inside? Are you shooting that as well?
Type X drywall, full insulation for soundproofing.